Hey friends, happy Sunday and welcome back to another week of What's for Dinner. If you're new here, hello and welcome. I am Taylor. Today I'm sharing with you a What's for Dinner as usual for Sunday. I share these every Sunday to hopefully motivate y'all to cook more for your family and to give you some new meal ideas. So if you like these kinds of videos, I hope that you will subscribe down below. And this week's What's for Dinner is a collab with Hannah over at Hannah Living Blessed. Some of you may know her. I think I've participated in like some big group collabs that she's also participated in. But if you don't know Hannah, please make sure you go check out her videos down below. She's also doing a What's for Dinner today. She does What's for Dinners, vlogs, cleaning videos, hauls, very similar content to what I share here. And she's super close to 1,000 subscribers as of me recording this. So go help her hit her goal of 1,000 subscribers and let her know that you came from my channel. Let's go ahead and get into this week's What's for Dinner. Friday night we had cheeseburger crescent ring. If you have been around here for a while, you have seen this recipe. I used to make it all the time. It was actually probably the first standalone recipe video that I ever did on my channel, if I remember correctly. I believe that is right. But you just start off with a pound of ground beef and then you season up however you would like. I did some salt and pepper, some garlic powder, some onion powder, and a little bit of Tony's Creole seasoning. And then you just crumble up your meat. I use the little meat masher thing and cook it until it's all cooked through. Once your meat is all browned, you're going to want to drain the grease if you have a lot of it, and then I like to go in with some ketchup, some mustard, and some pickle juice and just stir that around and coat my meat really well. Anytime I make anything that is cheeseburger flavor, I will always add in some ketchup, some mustard, and some pickle juice. It's just, I feel like it makes it taste more like a cheeseburger. So I do that, and then I just let this sit to the side while I get my crescent rolls prepared. Okay, I feel like I am never very good at explaining this, but you're going to take 2 packages of crescent rolls and you're going to separate the triangles, and then you're going to make it so the wider part of the triangle is going to be like the center of your circle, and you're just going to overlap those. If you're watching the video, you are watching me do this. I feel like seeing it happen is a lot easier, like, to picture. But yeah, you just want to do that with both containers of crescent rolls until you have a nice like sun kind of shape. It looks like a sun with all those points like sticking off of it. I usually use my circle pan now, but in the past I've done this on a regular sheet pan and just made a circle as best as I could. If you are using a pizza pan like I am and it has holes in it, make sure you put some foil under pan or some parchment paper or something on it, because you will have some grease that leaks through. I ended up putting another sheet pan underneath this, but to save having to clean 2 pans, I highly recommend using some foil or something. So once I've got all my crescent rolls on there, then I just take my meat mixture and put that on there and then top it with some cheese. You can also top it with pickles if you like pickles on it. And then you just take the pointed parts of the crescent roll and roll it over and seal it. So now you've got a nice little circle, a nice little ring, and then you put this in the oven. It usually bakes around like 20 minutes on, I think it's 375, but I vary the temperature based on what the temperature says on the package of crescent rolls that I have. Some brands are different and it's 350, some are 375. I believe this one was 375 and 20 minutes. And here's what that looks like when it comes out of the oven. I just let it cool for a couple of minutes and then we cut it and serve it with some salad on the side. This is definitely a family favorite. I haven't made it in a little while, but everybody loved it as usual. It is Saturday, and tonight for dinner we are doing buffalo chicken quesadillas, and I've shown this many times. I love to make this buffalo chicken in the crock pot and then use it for quesadillas. What else have I made with it? I don't know, but I love to make it. I make other things like a buffalo chicken pasta, mix it in with like some mac and cheese. Super good. So in here I have 3 chicken breasts. Yes, they're still frozen because I forgot to take them out last night.
it will be okay because I have plenty of time today to let this cook. So I've got 3 in here, and then I'm going to add to it some buffalo wing sauce. I'm using this Sweet Baby Ray's one. I have about half the bottle left, and I'm going to dump the whole thing in there. Usually that's what I use, is about half a bottle. And then I've got a ranch seasoning packet. And that's it. Just gonna sprinkle the ranch on top, pour on the buffalo sauce, put the lid on this, and just let it cook. Like, if it wasn't frozen, it would be done in like 3 hours on high. But because it is frozen, it's definitely gonna take longer, and I'm just gonna cook it on low.
Once my chicken was done, I just took 2 forks and shredded up the chicken really well. To cook the quesadillas, I just heated up my cast iron pan over like a medium heat, and then I always like to cook our quesadillas in a little bit of butter, so I did that, and then I added a flour tortilla to the pan. And then the cheese that I'm using is the queso quesadilla cheese from Kroger, so I get some of that on there, and then a bunch of the buffalo chicken. And if you like it super spicy, you could add on some more buffalo sauce if you want. Sometimes I do that for mine and Andy's, but I did not do that this night since I had used up that entire bottle of buffalo sauce and didn't want to open another one, so we just had it like that. And this night, it was actually just me and Lily eating dinner because Elijah went to dinner with his grandpa. The kids like to alternate going to dinner with him, so it was just me and Lily because Andy was at work. And to go with our buffalo chicken quesadillas, we just had some fresh veggies. Sunday night was Easter, and we did a big Easter dinner. I made some glazed carrots in the crock pot. We had our ham, of course. I just baked that according to the package directions, used the glaze that came in that and everything. Made some green bean casserole for everybody, a big huge pan of hash brown casserole. I made some pasta salad. I actually have this in a video that I posted a couple weeks back. Some deviled eggs, and then we also had some rolls and croissants, your choice of bread. And then for dessert, I bought a key lime pie, which you probably saw in last week's grocery haul. And then I also made a carrot cake. It was my first time ever making a carrot cake, and it turned out delicious. Monday night, I wanted to use up some of those leftovers from Easter, so I used up some of the ham and the rolls. So I made some ham and cheese sliders. So I just took all of the leftover rolls and sliced them in half horizontally, so we've got like a top and a bottom, like a regular, like a burger bun or whatever. And then I started piling on some of that leftover ham. And once I had all my ham on there, I just topped it with some cheddar cheese. And then I put the tops back on the bread, and then I mixed together a little like butter mixture, some melted butter, some Worcestershire sauce, some Dijon mustard, and some everything but the bagel seasoning, and I just mixed that together really well, and then brushed that over the tops of the sliders, and then I just covered everything with foil and put this in the oven on 350 for 25 minutes, and then I take the foil off and put it back in the oven for about another 5 minutes. And here's what they look like when they were done. I love to do this with leftover ham, just make some sliders. Sliders are so easy, and it's a great way to use up like leftover ham or even chicken or turkey. Just make some sliders, throw everything on some bread and throw it in the oven. And to go with this, we just had some salad. Tuesday was Taco Tuesday. It's very rare that we actually have a tacos on a Tuesday, but the kids were very excited that it was Taco Tuesday. So we had some ground beef hard shell tacos, super simple. I heated up a can of refried beans, topped it with some cheddar cheese, and we had cheese and tomatoes, taco sauce, lettuce, tomato. Yeah, that was pretty much it. Super simple and easy. Wednesday night I made a Cajun shrimp and rice skillet meal, and for this the recipe has like a little recipe for some Cajun seasoning. The last time I made this recipe I actually didn't make this. I just used Tony's Creole seasoning, and it turned out way too spicy because I used way too much. So this time I decided to actually make the little seasoning blend, although I did not measure it out exactly, but the recipe will be linked down below for you so you can go there and get the exact measurements. So in a little dish I'm mixing together some paprika, some salt, some garlic powder, some black pepper. Instead of onion powder, I used the Trader Joe's onion salt, and then some oregano, some cayenne pepper, and some crushed red pepper flakes. And I just whisked that together. Then in about a medium-sized mixing bowl, I melted 2 tablespoons of butter, and then to that I added 1 pound of large shrimp, and then I stirred that around, got the shrimp coated in that melted butter, and then I added in about half of that Cajun seasoning blend. Then in a large skillet, I heated up a little bit of olive oil, and when that was nice and hot, I added in my shrimp and just let that cook for a couple of minutes on either side until it was done. And then when it was done, I removed it from the pan. Once the shrimp was removed from the pan, I added in another 2 tablespoons of butter and just let that start to melt. And then I added in a bunch of minced garlic. As usual, I did way more than the recipe called for. The recipe called for, I think, like a teaspoon of minced garlic. I did like 5 or 6 cloves of minced garlic because we really like minced garlic. So I added that in there as well as my uncooked white rice. I have been using basmati rice lately instead of just regular old long grain white rice. The basmati rice is what I've been buying from Sam's Club, and we really like it, so that is what I used in this recipe. Just 1 1/3 cups is what I will add in, and I just kind of like toss that around in the butter with the garlic for a few minutes before adding in 2 2/3 cups of chicken broth and the rest of that Cajun seasoning, and then I just brought this to a boil. And then once it came to a boil, I reduced the heat to like a medium low and covered this and let it simmer for about 15 minutes. After the 15 minutes, I checked to make sure my rice was cooked through, and it was nice and tender. So then I just stirred my shrimp back in, and then we were ready to eat. And to go with this, we just had some green beans. I seasoned them the way that I always do. A little bit of Badia Complete, some chicken bouillon, some butter, some garlic, and some pepper. Thursday night was a crock-pot recipe. This is crock-pot no-boil manicotti, and I haven't made this in a long time, but I used to make it quite often. And as I mentioned last week, Thursdays are going to be pretty much crock-pot meals because of the kids doing martial arts, and I just want to make it easy when we come home because nobody's ready to eat dinner before 5 o'clock when we have to leave. So I was trying to find some stuff that I knew that the family liked, and so I was looking at my Pinterest board and I saw this and I was like, oh yeah, we used to love that. So I decided to make it since I did my shopping at Kroger this past week, and I knew I could pick up manicotti because that's not something that I can find at like Aldi. That's definitely like a Kroger or a Walmart or like a Publix type of buy that I have to get. So in a bowl, I am mixing together the filling for my manicotti. It's mostly just cheese. I'm doing some mozzarella cheese, some Parmesan cheese, and some cottage cheese, as well as some seasonings. I think I did some salt, some pepper, some garlic powder, and some Italian seasoning. And then I just mix all that together. And then I'm going to put this in a freezer bag, Ziploc bag, to pipe into the manicotti. I like to put my freezer bag down inside of a cup, and it just makes it easier to hold the bag. I know they sell like bag holders and stuff, but I always just use a cup because it works really well. And then I just fill the bag with that cheese mixture, and then when it comes time to fill, I will just snip off the end like you would if you were like frosting a cake or something. Then in the bottom of my crock pot, I just poured one whole jar of spaghetti sauce, your favorite marinara sauce, whatever you want to use. I'm using this jar of ragu, just the regular one. And then as I fill my manicotti, I'm just going to lay them down in that sauce. Now I'm snipping off the tip of the end of the Ziploc bag so that I can pipe my manicotti. You want to make sure you don't make the hole too big. You want it about 1/2 inch. You don't want it too big and you don't want it too small. And then you're just going to mostly fill the manicotti from one side and then just turn it over and make sure it's all the way full on the other side, and then just stack these in the crock pot. And then here's what this looks like once you get all of the manicotti filled and in the crock pot. And then you could leave that here if you want and not add any meat. I prefer to add meat to make it a little bit more filling. In the past, I've done like a pound of cooked ground beef. And this time I had 1/2 pound of cooked up Italian sausage in my freezer. So I just thawed that and sprinkled it over the top. And then you go in with another jar of marinara sauce and just let this cook. I like this recipe because it doesn't take a long time to cook. This is one of those recipes that takes like 2.5 hours on high, so very fast. Or you could do it on low, I think she said, for like 4 hours. I didn't think we were going to be gone as long as we were, so I did mine on high, and I actually think I shouldn't have done it on high. I should have done it on low. Because it didn't hold together as well as it has in the past. In the past, when I have made this, they held their shape and the noodle like didn't actually break apart. But this time they did break up a little bit. But they weren't like soggy or anything. The texture of them was still perfect. It just ended up being more like a lasagna, basically, instead of like having a whole piece of stuffed manicotti on your plate. So when we got home at like 8 o'clock, all I had to do was sprinkle on some mozzarella cheese and let it melt. And then we just served this with a salad on the side. As I said, I think I slightly overcooked it because it didn't used to fall apart. But that was my bad because we were gone for like 4 hours instead of being gone for 2 hours like I initially thought. And that is going to be it for this week's What's for Dinner. If you enjoyed it, please make sure you leave me a thumbs up and subscribe down below if you haven't already. And don't forget, as I mentioned at the beginning, this was a collab with my friend Hannah, so please make sure you go check out her video. It'll be linked in the description box down below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye!